860,000! I can't believe it's still standing! No one has beaten me in like 10 years!
Should George be this excited about a high score on Frogger? Heck yes. But the thing is, this high score page they show is completely fake. So far on this series, we've looked at a bunch of major big screen movies and how they correctly or incorrectly portrayed video games. The complexity behind properly incorporating video games into the production of a single movie clearly poses a lot of challenges. But doing that same thing for, let's say, a multiple episode television series where every week is a mad rush to get one more episode in the can to meet a weekly broadcast schedule, well, yeah, that'd be pretty hard. So let's take a closer look at how video games are handled in television shows. ER, Hell and High Water, 1995, directed by Christopher Chulak.
You hooked up to Mount Sinai?
Yeah, beating the crap out of them.
What are you doing?
Playing Doom 2.
How long does it take to play?
Months.
I've been thoracotomies that were less bloody.
Nurse Carol Hathaway, played by Juliana Margulies, has hijacked one of the ER's computers to play a multiplayer game of Doom 2 with Mount Sinai Hospital. I can't say whether or not it's realistic that ER staff would have had the time to get sucked into a game of Doom 2, but you know what? For 1995, it kind of makes sense.
New computer?
Yeah, it's CD-ROM. I'm connecting this up by modem to Mount Sinai.
See, new computers at the time, especially brand new ones that were being sold to hospitals and offices like that, would have been very expensive. And the people that would have been managing these computers that worked in information technology spaces probably would have been very excited to get their hands on a brand new computer like this, because likely they didn't have something that powerful at home. So they might want to put a game or two on it. You know, to test it out. And why Doom 2? It was more popular than Windows 95 at the time. That's a John Romero fact, straight from Twitter. See? Twitter's good for something. So seeing Doom 2 run on an office-type computer, totally believable. But something isn't looking right to me, like this weird-looking aspect ratio of the game footage. The gameplay itself looks real. They've adjusted the screen size so that there's a border around the gameplay. This is something you can do with an original copy of Doom 2, and something that we've replicated in our footage right here. You're probably looking at this footage and thinking, well, why would anyone actually want to make the screen smaller? Well, at the time, this would have been a great way to increase the frame rate of Doom 2, making the game easier to run on less powerful computers. But the way it isn't filling the monitor screen with all that black space around the game, that isn't normal. Some CRT monitors at the time could allow you to change the video signal position that appears on the screen. Whatever image was coming out of your computer could be adjusted to really appear in any kind of way you'd wanted. But it looks stupid here, so why would they do that? If I had to guess, this is pre-recorded footage being sent through the monitor from some video source that isn't the computer they're using. This entire setup was probably done in a rush, creating this improperly scaled image that they couldn't fix on time for the shoot. But the aspect ratio isn't the only visual clue that this is fake. Look again at how she's controlling the game. She isn't touching the keyboard at all, and is exclusively using the mouse, which would have been very difficult to play Doom 2 with alone. As we established in a previous episode, Doom 2 takes more than just a couple buttons to operate properly. This wouldn't have been a good time. Now look, for those of you that may not know, you can play Doom 2 with a mouse alone. Here's footage of me doing just that, but it's difficult and seriously not fun. All your movements are tied to the mouse, meaning you have to stay razor focused on where you are. Otherwise, you can fall off into places accidentally. And while you can fire your weapon and open doors with the 2 mouse buttons, that's it. You can't check your map or switch your weapons. And if you want to run, you have to move your mouse really fast. It's annoying. There's this one spot in Doom 2 where you have to run across a gap really quick, and typically you would just hold down the run key. But with the mouse, you have to quickly swing your hand back and forth. Don't recommend it. Don't recommend it at all. If you had a keyboard on your computer, like they clearly do here, you shouldn't be playing Doom 2 this way. It's pointless. But if that wasn't enough to call this mock gaming already, we get added proof when the actor's button inputs don't match with the gameplay footage. If you look at her hand, she rapidly switches between the left and right mouse button. Only one of them would fire a weapon, and the other wouldn't. This looks really hectic and really fake. We can see here when the camera zooms into the screen that Carol has apparently died, yet she continues to tap away at her mouse like she's still firing at enemies. Seconds later, Carol is hammering away at the mouse button, trying to attack demons with the chainsaw. Now, the chainsaw in Doom 2 has a very obvious attack animation. When you are holding down the attack button, the chainsaw is lowered, and as you move closer to enemies, they are gonna have a bad time. If you were to click the button repeatedly like she is, the chainsaw would just go up and down endlessly.
Die, bastard. Die! Come on!
Did you see that? The chainsaw was down steadily while she wailed away on the mouse 6 or 7 times. That's not what the gameplay would have looked like. This is what that gameplay would have looked like. It looks really stupid, and it's a terrible strategy. The chainsaw is the easiest weapon to use in the game. You hold down the button and walk towards people. If you can't figure that out, you shouldn't be playing Doom 2. You shouldn't be a doctor. Don't trust you with a scalpel.
She's not a doctor. She's a nurse.
She's a nurse, okay. In the next scene, we take a break from recorded gameplay footage and get a behind the monitor view of more Doom 2 action. We get a pretty clear shot of the game box on the desk, and from here, I can see that this is the GT Interactive release of Doom 2 on CD-ROM, meaning that a real copy of the game was likely on the actual set.
Hey, shot the Hell Knight with my plasma rifle, but he nailed me with a rocket launcher.
Watch out for the fireballs.
Okay, so now Dr. Mark Green, played by Anthony Edwards, has gotten into the fray, and he's hooked. But what he just said didn't sound right. Let's break that line down.
Hey, shot the Hell Knight with my plasma rifle.
A Hell Knight is an enemy NPC in Doom 2. That checks out.
But he nailed me with a rocket launcher.
Watch out for the fireballs.
Yeah, there's your problem. Hell Knights didn't use rocket launchers, so this doesn't check out. Also, you don't get nailed with a rocket launcher. Rocket launchers are like this tube here. They're hollow. In the center, there's nothing. Sure, someone can throw this tube at you, but it's not really gonna hurt. It's the rocket being propelled from the tube that hits you that's all explodey. That's the thing you should be afraid of. Not this. Big difference. But I'll cut him some slack. It's gotta be hard to talk about something you're not seeing because the computer isn't even plugged in. They're using a Compaq Desk Pro XL590 with an official Compaq monitor. I'm a bit of a computer geek. Yes, that's true. But I also know that the computer would have used a Matrox video card that would have been found right here. And as you can see, this video card on this computer isn't attached to anything. But the screen is lighting up Dr. Green's face with a bright flash. So what's it hooked up to? Well, if you look closely at the back of the monitor case, there's a small gap that has a breathing white light coming through. At first, I didn't know what the heck that was, but then I tried to think like someone on set trying to fake gameplay. They didn't have the game running because the camera was never gonna see it. But it didn't look believable having the actor staring at a dark black screen. And Doom 2 is a notoriously dark game. Even if they were to be playing some footage, there wouldn't have been a lot of bright flashy images lighting up the actor's face. So they put a friggin' light bulb inside an empty case, blinking it in the actor's face to make it look like he was blasting away monsters in the game. But come on, does this actually look realistic? I'm playing Doom! I'm killing a Hell Knight with a mouse. And also, for the record, this is a completely different monitor than what they were using in the gameplay scenes. And I know what you're thinking. Shane, you watched this one sequence of ER so much that you're capable of identifying different monitors? Yeah. Welcome to the show.
We need a red key.
Look out for the lasso.
Use the rocket launcher.
Look, Mount Sinai's shooting us.
Cheaters, get him, get him.
Do it.
Need a bulletproof vest.
Blast it with a BFG 9000.
It's official. Doom 2 has taken over this ER. Again, a lot of attention to detail with name-dropping items and enemies. Color-coded key cards, lost souls, BFG. For those of you that don't know what BFG stands for, Big Friendly Gun. We're a family show here. But anyway, they kind of screwed up when they said,
Need a bulletproof vest.
Doom 2 has plenty of health pickups and armor items. A bulletproof vest though? You won't find that in the game. But that iconic gamer frustration and taking over for your friend? All very realistic. If we look closer though, the game has once again changed aspect ratios. It's even smaller inside the screen, with more black on the top and now on the bottom. Whatever TV magic they're pulling to get this video image on the screen, it's doing something that's putting this footage in an unusual aspect ratio, or they simply just don't know how to set up the monitor properly. And look, it's 1995, not everybody knows how to use a computer, and many people that were on the set might not have known how to set up a monitor accurately. Kinda sucks, but hey, the 90s, they were harsh. They clearly had a lot of fun with the Doom 2 subplot, but maybe weren't equipped to visually tell the story. But what if a TV show not only had the right dialogue, but the gameplay to back it up? The Office, The Coup, 2006, directed by Greg Daniels.
At the Stanford branch, they all play this World War II video game called Call of Duty, and they're all really into it. I'm told it started as a team building exercise. Unfortunately, I really suck at it. Oh.
And it's another PC first-person shooter. We have Jim, played by John Krasinski, trying to fit in with his new coworkers by playing and sucking at Call of Duty. Now folks, we're talking about the original Call of Duty here. Not Modern Warfare, not Black Ops, just regular old Call of Duty. Now I gotta be honest with you all, this is one of the best implementations of gameplay in a scripted work I've ever seen. Let me show you why. You can tell they're actually playing this on a LAN together. LANs are local area networks. All the actors are reacting to what is actually happening in the game in real time.
Why did you do that?
I'm just killing Germans any way I can.
We're on the German team. Shoot the British.
Wait, are we playing teams?
Jim unknowingly killed his teammate, Here Comes Trouble, otherwise known as Andy, played by Ed Helms. In an earlier episode, they established that Andy was very proud of his time with his college a cappella group, Here Comes Trouble. So for this episode, they pulled that character factoid and used it for his screen name. This is such a great attention to detail as well as character building. Another cool part is when Andy turns around to yell at Jim and you see the kill cam come up on his monitor. This is exactly what would happen in a real game because they are in a real game. The episode also does a great job of portraying someone who really doesn't know how to play the game properly. And look, for anyone that has ever played a game online, I think we've all been in those matches where it's someone's first time and they just haven't gotten the hang of it yet. You wish they would, but they still haven't.
All right, Jim, are you using the MP40 or the 44? Sniper rifle?
Snipe what? Jim, are you playing for the other team?
You don't snipe in Carrington, okay?
Saboteur!
They are naming real weapons in the game, a real level, and displaying authentic gamer rage. I love this. Everything you're seeing here in all these gameplay scenes look and feel so real. But remember, it's not. The majority of this is scripted. Not only are the actors playing the role of their characters on screen, but they're also kinda acting like puppeteers, controlling their gaming avatars to tell a story. The actors were acting in the video game, remembering every action and playing it out as a performance. It might look simple when you see it at first, but when you really stop to think about it, it's impressive. Unfortunately though, they kinda got one thing wrong.
And he's trying to shoot with a smoke grenade.
I'm sorry, what are you whispering at me?
Nothing. You just concentrate on turning around.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Just tap S, then D.
Oh.
This is the one part of this episode that confuses me. This isn't how you would turn around in Call of Duty or any similar FPS game at the time. Tapping S and D would just move you backwards slightly and then sidestep you to the right. You wouldn't change the direction you're facing. To turn around in Call of Duty, you need to use the mouse. With a fresh install of Call of Duty, the turn left and right commands are unbound, meaning they're not linked to anything. And because we know Jim doesn't really understand how to play Call of Duty, it's unlikely that he would have bound those keys to anything. You would think the knowledge established by the writers would have made an oversight like this impossible, not to mention the training the actors went through. In the DVD commentary, Rashida Jones, who plays Karen, aka Karen the Gym Slayer, confirmed she actually had to learn Call of Duty for this role.
I took some serious Call of Duty tutorial before this episode.
Did you guys have Call of Duty lessons?
Yes, because all the writers play Call of Duty in their office, so when I got the show is when I started getting lessons from them.
It's possible that one of the writers for this episode used a custom key binding, wrote that in the script, and forgot that isn't how the game plays regularly. I guess there was so much going on in this episode that one very small detail slipped through the cracks. But outside of that one detail, this is still very, very impressive. Space Force: The Doctor's Appointment, 2022, directed by Ken Kwapis.
Well, we've sent you over some VR goggles so that you can virtually tour SpaceX. Of course, you will have to sign a virtual NDA, though. Just a legal formality.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course.
No.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Dr. Mallory and Dr. Chan, played by John Malkovich and Jimmy O. Yang, are suiting up to take a virtual reality tour of the SpaceX facility as part of a job interview. They're using an original model Oculus Quest. Sorry, what?
It's MetaQuest.
Meta? No, I'm not going to be calling them that. Oculus Quest is what they're called. It's a standalone VR headset that doesn't require the use of an external computer. I used to have one of these, and it worked well, until the secondary controller had a battery in it that exploded and completely destroyed the controller. So then I had to buy an Oculus Quest 2.
It's MetaQuest 2.
MetaQuest 2. Still not going to call it that. Oculus Quest 2. They're called Oculus Quests. They can change the name a million times. The box I bought it in says Oculus Quest. What I don't understand is why they're wearing strange-looking gloves and what appear to be VR booties. I mean, come on. Oculus Quest headsets have the ability to track your hands in free space using the built-in cameras. Why would you use gloves? And if you needed hard inputs like buttons, just use the bundled controllers. They come with the headset. And the shoes? Your body tracking is done by the movement of your headset in the room. Very few experiences need to know where your feet are moment to moment, except maybe a kickboxing simulator, but they're definitely not playing that right now. Both of the things they're wearing here just seem to be for show, and in reality, have no purpose.
Makes me so dizzy.
Awesome.
Oh boy.
This place is huge.
Oh, I feel nauseous.
Dr. Mallory is using a VR headset for the first time, and it isn't going well. He's disoriented, which is making him sick. This is 100% what a lot of people's first experiences were like in VR. It's not as common now because technology has advanced a lot more, but at the rise of modern VR headsets in the 2010s, low frame rates on the screen and poor tracking led to virtual reality sickness, which is basically motion sickness. The disconnect between the movements you performed in real life and what was presented on the screen literally made people sick.
Looks like real people. Oh, this is amazing.
Jesus, where did it even go?
Ha ha ha! He's not having a good time. I maybe wasn't as bad as Dr. Mallory here, but I've gotten pretty sick from headsets like the first Oculus Rift dev kit, or certain games on PlayStation VR. It was such a big problem that in our PlayStation VR special a few years ago, we actually rated all the games with a sickometer.
Oh, I'm in the cooling system of a rocket turbine.
I'm not well.
It's like a roller coaster.
I have to get some air.
But if the equipment is powerful enough and the games are programmed well enough, VR can be a very fun, immersive experience. Once you get your VR legs. Because before that, man, you throw up a lot. Friends, the one where Joey dates Rachel. 2002, directed by David Schwimmer.
It here for now.
Yet again, we're looking at an 80s arcade cabinet. This time, it's Miss Pac-Man. Monica and Chandler, played by Courtney Cox and Matthew Perry, receive a Miss Pac-Man machine from their friend Phoebe, played by Lisa Kudrow. Comedy antics ensue when the friends get super competitive over their high scores.
Oh, would you look at that, Monica? I just knocked off all your top scores. How sad.
Okay, I'm next.
Chandler, Phoebe's hogging the game.
Who cares? It's a stupid game.
Oh, you only think it's stupid because you suck at it.
I don't suck. It sucks. You suck.
Her pride over inferior gaming performance? Yes, very accurate, painfully accurate. But what was that Phoebe said?
I just knocked off all your top scores. How sad.
All her top scores? It sounds like they're making reference to a high score page, a common arcade cabinet feature where the top player's scores are recorded and displayed to make all other players feel inadequate. It indeed would be crushing for someone to achieve all these high scores just to have them erased by a better player. Too bad Miss Pac-Man didn't have a high score page.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you over all the winning.
All you would have gotten in an original Miss Pac-Man cabinet is one high score recorded, no tiered list like in other arcade games. But this wording was a bit vague. Maybe the writers clear it up in a later scene.
You are not going to believe what I did today. And I got all the top 10 scores. I erased Phoebe off the board. High five!
What is the matter with your hand?
Well, I've been playing it for like 8 hours.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hand cramping after only 8 hours of gameplay? Amateur.
Editor's note. Shane might have indicated that Chandler is a lightweight at video games, and while that might be true, the actor Matthew Perry is not. In multiple interviews, he's claimed to be an avid gamer.
What's your
I
game?
play Fallout 3. Do you know that game?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, I don't know.
I had to go. I played Fallout 3 so often that I had to go to a hand doctor.
Wow.
I did. I had to get injections in my hands.
That's right, folks. His love of Fallout 3 was so hardcore, he needed a medical procedure to fix his hands. This passion for gaming became so well known that it eventually led to Matthew Perry voicing a character in Fallout New Vegas, Benny.
Let's keep this in the groove, hey? Smooth moves like smooth little babies.
Immortalized forever in one of the best entries in the Fallout series, now that's just fantastic. Game on, Matthew Perry. Game on.
Well, I've been playing it for like 8 hours. It'll loosen up. Come on, check out the scores.
He says he got all the top 10 scores. Miss Pac-Man simply did not list the top 10 scores.
Oh, and also look at the initials. They're dirty words.
Look, Ben's coming over here tomorrow to play this game. This can't be there.
No. If you unplug it, I'll have nothing to show for my day. It'll be like I was at work. No! Hey, look at that. Look at that, it's still there. This thing must have some kind of primitive ROM chip in it or something.
Yeah, none of that would have happened with a real Miss Pac-Man cabinet. No top 10 scores, no list of dirty initials, and if you unplugged an original cabinet, you would have 100% lost any save scores.
I practically spent my entire childhood at the arcade. This was like, oh my God, this was like my second favorite game.
So why would Monica not seem to notice that this game from her childhood is not as she remembers? Well, I think it's because it's not important to the story. The script was probably written with a vague idea of an arcade game in mind, and not specifically Miss Pac-Man. Then this game got slotted in for any number of reasons, possibly name recognition, or it was just what the production staff had available to them.
You think this is clever?
And it was easy to get away with too, because in every shot where the cabinet is turned on, they framed the screen out or placed an actor in front of it. So they could say whatever they wanted was on the screen and no one could tell the difference, unless they're a video game fan. The made-up high score page isn't the only weird thing with this cabinet. If you look closely, there's a big yellow button on the control panel that isn't supposed to be there. In fact, when the arcade cabinet is unplugged and plugged back in, we see it light up, meaning that that is a real functional button. The original machine Monica says she played as a kid wouldn't have had a button there, and again, it doesn't come up. Whether it's canon in the show or not, the machine has been altered. Since they never reference the button, it's impossible to tell exactly what it does. Looking at the side panels, this does look like a well-used cabinet from the 80s. Someone probably took an original machine and added this button after the fact. But there is one fun nod to classic arcade gaming in this scene. Behind Chandler, we can see he has a row of quarters lined up on the machine. This is totally an arcade gamer move. You would lay out your coins for easy access between games or to signal to other arcade goers that you were gonna be there for a while.
Okay, I'm next. No, don't start another game. I said I was next. Phoebe!
Now, if you have a machine for home use, you don't really have to use quarters. You could simply set it up for free play. But unfortunately, when Miss Pac-Man is set to free play, you don't get the iconic attract screen. And this is a deal breaker for most arcade fans. And that's where that yellow button might have come into play. The owner of this machine could have rigged up a button to insert phantom tokens so that they could keep the attract screen on but not have to mess around with inserting and retrieving actual coins. And then they rented it out to a TV production that probably didn't even know the difference. They just wanted a fun story about characters competing with an arcade game. And they certainly weren't the first sitcom to bend arcade reality for their story. Seinfeld, The Frogger, 1998, directed by Andy Ackerman.
Hey, Jerry, remember Frogger? I used to be so into this game.
George, played by Jason Alexander, and Jerry, played by Jerry Seinfeld, revisit their high school hangout and reconnect with an old friend, a Frogger cabinet.
Watch the truck. Double jump. Eat the fly. Eat it!
Thanks a lot.
If George says he used to play a lot of Frogger, then he should know there is no double jump in Frogger. You push the joystick in a direction and your froggy avatar hops in that direction. There is no jump button to double tap.
The high score, GLC. George Louis Costanza. That's not you, is it?
Yes. 860,000. I can't believe it's still standing. No one has beaten me in like 10 years.
Should George be this excited about a high score on Frogger? Heck yes. The arcade version of this game had bugs and issues that made it extra challenging to play it well. Sometimes accurate movements made by the player would lead to unexpected deaths. Believe me, I know. So managing a #1 score is actually impressive. But the thing is, this high score page they show is completely fake. Frogger didn't allow you to input your initials with your score. On a real machine, George's score would just be labeled first. It would be completely anonymous. The second problem here is that Frogger couldn't record scores higher than 99,990. And every score on this page, not just George's, is over 100,000. This could not happen on an original machine, which this has to be if it's been in this pizzeria for all these years. Also, when the kid in the pizzeria is playing the machine, it's displaying the high score at the top of the screen. But unfortunately, it's not showing George's recorded high score. Instead, it shows the high score of whoever was capturing the game footage, and they only got to 7,200 points. I guess no one on set noticed that.
Well, I'm doing it, Jerry. I'm buying the Frogger machine. Now the torch will burn forever.
Hey, how are you gonna keep the machine plugged in while you move it?
What?
Once you unplug the machine, all the scores will be erased.
Jerry is right. An original arcade cabinet at the time would lose its save scores when unplugged. And how do we know this? Because we asked our friend Andrew Borman, who is a curator at the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York, to record a real Frogger arcade system with an original game board. He confirmed that not only is there no way for you to write your initials in the high score field, but that once you unplug the machine, the high score resets to its default value of 4,630. So, okay, maybe there isn't a name beside the number. Maybe the number isn't even real. But we know for sure that if there was a high score at all to be saved, if the machine loses power, the score is going bye-bye. Which raises the question, do they actually expect us to believe that all this time has passed and this Frogger has not been disconnected from power once? From temporary power interruptions to local construction cutting power, in the past 10 years, the restaurant must have had something happen to cut the power, at least just once. But let's give them this miracle. George's score has been preserved. New York power remains solid. Now the problem to solve is how to move it without powering it down.
What are you guys doing? Eat the fly. Eat the fly. Got it. You idiots, you're gonna wear down the battery.
They've done it. They hooked up Frogger to battery power and moved it out of the restaurant. If you were like me watching this episode for the first time, you probably thought, well, That's fake. There's no way a live arcade system can be switched to battery power while still staying on continuously. But believe it or not, this is a real technology. They're mostly used by digital forensic investigators and law enforcement. It allows them to do something like remove a computer from a crime scene while keeping it powered on so it doesn't restart. The technology actually exists. Whether this guy knew what he was doing, though, that's debatable.
What's that? The outlet? That's where the electricity comes out of.
Oh, you mean the holes?
So after they've almost drained all their backup battery, George has to push the Frogger across a busy road to get to an outlet before the battery completely dies. George's Frogger training hops into action, and he expertly avoids all the cars crawling towards him as he gets the cabinet to the other side. I absolutely love the way this scene looks. They even put a frog decal on the top of the machine, which makes it look like the frog from the game is actually crossing the road. Well, at least it would, except the frog is facing backwards. Oh well. This same frog can be seen on both sides of the cabinet in earlier shots. This is not found on the original Frogger. I think they added these to match the frog they stuck on the top for the crossing the road scene. That way, no one asks why there's a random frog sticker on the top of an arcade cabinet where no one can see it. Don't worry, likely no Frogger cabinets were harmed in the making of this episode, at least not original ones. On the exact moment of impact, it looks like it's just an empty box. We don't see any components, and more importantly, no CRT monitor goes flying out of the machine. Not only would that have been wasteful, it would have made a terrible mess to clean up. This dummy cabinet is also probably the prop that the actor pushed across the road for that overhead shot. I'm quite sure Jason Alexander appreciated it being as light as possible. Because CRT monitors, my friends, they're heavy. Even the music used in the sequence is taken directly from the original game, as well as the death sound when George is covered in Frogger debris. Despite the faked high score page, it does look like love and time went into this Frogger cameo. I mean, look at the shot that they did. Look at everything that went into it. The episode name itself is named after the arcade machine. You don't do that if you don't like Frogger. And I think the creators of the show really like this game.
That's a good game.
Unlike movies, TV shows are usually made much, much faster, and that brings on tons of problems with capturing video games. Sometimes it's incredibly well done, and other times, not so much. But regardless of the final quality, it's always fun to see video games appear in some of our favorite episodes of television.